For more than a decade, storage wars felt like controlled chaos. Viewers tuned in to watch split-second decisions, emotional bidding, and the promise that one forgotten locker could change a life forever. On screen, everything was loud, fast, and decisive. Personalities clashed, money changed hands, and victories were celebrated in public. But television only captures what happens under lights and microphones. What it doesn't show is what follows after the cameras power down. For many cast members, life after fame unfolded very differently than viewers expected. Health challenges, broken relationships, quiet reinventions, and long periods of silence replaced the adrenaline of auction floors. This isn't a story about downfall or scandal. It's about reality catching up. When the performance ends, people still have bodies, families, fears, and limits. The following stories explore what happened when Storage Wars stars stepped away, voluntarily or not, and how survival often mattered more than success once the spotlight faded. Daryl Sheets embodied risk. On television, he was bold, relentless, and emotionally invested in every bid. Auctions weren't just business for him, they were identity. For decades, Daryl built his life around chasing opportunity, trusting instinct, and believing the next locker could be the one. That mindset carried him through more than 30 years in the storage auction world. When Storage Wars amplified his personality, the pressure intensified. Off camera, Daryl pushed himself physically, convinced discipline equaled control. He lost nearly 100 pounds through structured dieting and believed he was finally winning against time. But health doesn't always announce its warnings loudly. In early 2019, his body reached its limit. 2 heart attacks followed by a diagnosis of congestive heart failure and lung complications forced an immediate halt. Auctions didn't pause gradually, they stopped overnight. For the first time, Daryl couldn't outbid the problem in front of him. From his hospital bed, Daryl did something unfamiliar. He admitted vulnerability. In a public message to fans, he described emergency surgeries, fear, and how close he came to losing everything. The confidence viewers knew was still there, but it was quieter, reflective. Stepping away wasn't a career decision, it was survival. During this period, his fiancée stood beside him, and for a time, illness created closeness. But pressure changes relationships. By 2022, that engagement ended publicly, and Daryl later described those years as deeply painful. Unexpectedly, his personal life shifted again when he reconnected with his former wife, Kimber Wool. They appeared together openly, celebrating milestones, suggesting reconciliation even without public confirmation of remarriage. Daryl's story didn't end with triumph or tragedy. It settled into something more complex: acceptance. The gambler didn't stop believing in opportunity, but he learned that not every battle can be won with force. Weiss entered Storage Wars without aggression. From the beginning, he treated auctions like treasure hunts, not competitions. His charm came from curiosity, not dominance. While others argued over profit margins, Barry talked about history, craftsmanship, and stories hidden inside lockers. That perspective made him instantly likable. He left the show quietly while it was still successful, choosing not to overstay his presence. There was no dramatic farewell. He simply stepped away. For years, fans assumed he returned to private collecting, classic cars, and a slower life. That assumption held until 2019, when Barry was involved in a serious motorcycle accident in Los Angeles. The injuries were severe: crushed limbs, internal trauma, and multiple surgeries. He spent days in intensive care, and updates came from friends, not Barry himself. Recovery wasn't inspirational television. It was painful, slow, and private. After surviving an accident that nearly ended his life, Barry's relationship with risk changed. He returned to television briefly, but not with the same energy. His appearances were selective, measured, and quieter. Instead of competing regularly, he focused on brand work, voiceovers, and controlled projects that didn't demand physical strain. Barry didn't disappear, he repositioned. His story represents something rare in reality television: knowing when to step away before the damage becomes irreversible. For fans, his absence symbolized maturity rather than loss. Sometimes survival looks like choosing distance instead of adrenaline. Hester's exit felt different. Known for intensity and control, Dave never softened his approach. He built his reputation on winning, not lickability. Then, in 2018, a stroke changed everything. Overnight, speech, coordination, and independence were compromised. He disappeared from television during recovery, not because of controversy, but necessity. Rehabilitation replaced bidding wars. While others continued on screen, Dave focused on regaining basic function. He eventually returned to the auction world, but behind the scenes. No cameras, no catchphrases. His silence wasn't defeat, it was adaptation. The loudest presence learned how to survive quietly. Ivy Calvin's journey unfolded gradually. Calm, strategic, and disciplined, Ivy entered storage wars with a functioning business already in place. His store wasn't created for television, it predated it. Over time, fans noticed fewer appearances. This wasn't decline, it was reprioritization. Health concerns emerged privately and family took precedence. Ivy brought his sons into auctions, teaching instead of performing. He didn't announce a departure. He reduced exposure. The King of Palmdale chose longevity over visibility, proving that success doesn't require constant presence. Dan and Laura Dotson were the rhythm of the show. Auctioneers rather than competitors, they anchored the chaos. In 2014, everything nearly ended when Dan suffered a double brain aneurysm. Laura's quick response saved his life. Recovery reshaped their priorities. They returned, but expanded into online platforms, building sustainable systems beyond television. Later, their family faced another trauma when their son survived a gunshot wound. These experiences shifted their focus outward, toward charity, education, and responsibility. Survival transformed into service. Brandi Passante and Gerard Schulz represented tension. On screen, conflict appeared playful. Off-screen, it was damaging. Their relationship ended years before viewers knew. When details surfaced, it reframed everything. In 2021, a public incident led to legal consequences, confirming that what looked like entertainment masked deeper harm. Brandi stepped away to rebuild, focusing on parenting, personal voice, and healing. Gerard faded from television, redirecting his energy privately. Their story became a reminder that public partnerships don't protect private well-being. Renee and Casey Nejoda approached fame strategically. Even during the show, their focus remained on long-term business. Online sales, content creation, and adaptability kept them stable after stepping back. When personal loss struck in 2023, their priorities shifted inward. Success paused. Grief didn't perform. Their story highlights balance, using exposure wisely without becoming dependent on it. Brandon Sheets' exit was abrupt. After years alongside his father, he was quietly removed due to budget changes. Fame vanished overnight. He rebuilt in Arizona, working regular jobs, embracing routine. Humor became coping. In 2024, a serious car accident reinforced what he already knew: stability matters more than recognition. His life today is deliberate and private. Kenny Crossley chose reinvention. Instead of waiting for television, he created multiple income streams: music, online content, small businesses. His warmth translated beyond auctions. Stepping away wasn't loss, it was diversification. Mary Padian evolved quietly. When her physical store closed, she transitioned online. Her following followed. She redirected energy toward humanitarian work, proving that evolution doesn't require spectacle. Emily Wares chose peace early. She stepped away, started a family, and pursued music. Her story challenges the belief that visibility equals fulfillment. These stories share a pattern. Fame accelerates life, but it doesn't replace health, safety, or purpose. Many didn't fall, they adjusted. For Brandon Sheets, Storage Wars was not just a television opportunity, it was a family legacy. Growing up alongside his father, Daryl Sheets, auctions were part of his everyday reality long before cameras arrived. Over 9 seasons, Brandon appeared in more than 100 episodes, learning the business publicly while growing into adulthood privately. Then, in 2016, his presence ended abruptly. There was no farewell episode, no explanation to viewers, and no on-screen closure. Later, Brandon revealed that budget cuts removed his role while the show continued without him. The loss wasn't only financial, it was personal. Overnight, a lifestyle built around visibility disappeared. Brandon left California and relocated to Arizona, where he rebuilt from the ground up. He earned a real estate license, joined a brokerage, and later took delivery driving work to stabilize income. The transition was not glamorous, but it was honest. On social media, he leaned into humor, openly mocking the illusion of reality TV wealth and highlighting the contrast between fame and real life. In 2024, Brandon survived a serious car accident, reinforcing a lesson he had already learned. Stability matters more than recognition. Today, his life is quieter, modest, and intentionally private. Kenny Crossley's departure from Storage Wars didn't come from conflict, illness, or controversy. It came from clarity. On screen, Kenny was known for his warmth and humor rather than aggression. He enjoyed auctions, but he never treated television as his only path forward. While others waited for producers to call, Kenny began building multiple income streams. Music production, online content, merchandise, and small business ventures became part of his long-term strategy. Instead of chasing spotlight moments, he monetized everyday life. Casual conversations, ride-along videos, and product reviews reflected his personality without performance pressure. When Kenny gradually disappeared from the show, fans assumed something had gone wrong. In reality, his life had simply diversified. Television exposure had served its purpose, and he moved on without bitterness or drama. Kenny's story highlights an often overlooked truth about reality TV. Leaving doesn't always mean failure. Sometimes it means freedom. By stepping away on his own terms, he avoided burnout and dependency, proving that sustainability often comes from independence rather than visibility. Mary Padian stood apart from the chaos of competitive bidding. Introduced through the Texas spin-off, she brought creativity and design into a space dominated by confrontation. Mary valued storytelling over profit margins, and that approach resonated with viewers. As her appearances became less frequent, speculation followed, but nothing dramatic happened. Instead, Mary adapted. When her physical store eventually closed, she transitioned fully online. Her audience followed. Curated drops sold out quickly, driven by trust rather than hype. At the same time, Mary redirected her platform toward humanitarian efforts, supporting fair trade initiatives that benefited women and children. There were no press releases or dramatic exits. She simply evolved. Mary's story demonstrates that success does not require constant exposure. Growth can happen quietly, without announcements or spectacle. In a landscape where noise often equals relevance, Mary proved that consistency and purpose can sustain a career long after television fades. Emily Ware's time on Storage Wars was brief, but her decision afterward was significant. Young, professional, and legally trained, Emily joined the show at a point when many would have chased maximum exposure. Instead, she chose distance. After stepping away, Emily focused on building a family and pursuing music publicly. She never framed her exit as loss. She framed it as alignment. Emily recognized early that visibility did not match her personal definition of success. In an industry that often equates fame with fulfillment, her choice challenged that assumption. Rather than waiting for relevance to return, she built a life that didn't depend on it. Emily's story reminds viewers that stepping away early can sometimes prevent long-term regret. Peace, stability, and personal growth can be greater rewards than recognition. Across all these stories, a pattern becomes clear. Reality television amplifies intensity but rarely protects longevity. Auctions move fast, but bodies, relationships, and mental health carry long-term consequences. Health crises, emotional exhaustion, and private strain often develop off-camera while entertainment continues on screen. When cast members reduce appearances or disappear, audiences interpret it as failure or decline. In reality, it is often adaptation. Reality TV captures moments, not aftermaths. What happens after fame ends is rarely documented, yet it defines outcomes more than airtime ever could. Paragraph 17. When stepping back becomes survival. For some cast members, stepping back was not optional. Health forced boundaries. For others, emotional or financial clarity drove the decision. These exits were not weakness. They were self-awareness. Continuing under pressure would have caused greater damage. Choosing survival over visibility required humility, something television rarely rewards. Fame provides exposure, not security. Contracts end, attention shifts, and audiences move on. Those who understood this reality early diversified their identities. Those who didn't faced harsher transitions. Reality TV opens doors, but it does not promise permanence. When the auction floor goes quiet, real decisions begin. Health, family, income, and identity replace bids and profits. These moments don't trend online, but they shape lives. What viewers see is entertainment. What follows is reality. Storage Wars delivered excitement, but the stories beyond it reveal something deeper. Some survived by stepping away. Others evolved. A few found peace where fame could not. When the spotlight fades, the real journey begins. Which story surprised you the most? Did stepping back save them, or did it cost more than we realize? Share your thoughts and subscribe for more documentary deep dives into the lives behind reality television.